Assalamualaikum. I bid to my respectful lecturer, Madam Nadia Nabila. I am SYAZWANI Abdullah from Group 5. And today my group mates and I will be presenting for the corporate and partnership law, the role, the importance of auditors in a company management. Let's get started. All right, as we all know, in a company, there are various of stakeholders like directors, officers, managers, and shareholders who guide a company through the fulfillment of its business objectives. And management has also defined as the process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling the efforts of company members and of using all company resources to achieve stated company goals. Also, the occupation of management is to maintain control over the company's actions and performance and simultaneously to lead, inspire, and direct the people working in the company. So, what is auditor? An auditor is a person authorized to review and verify the accuracy of financial records and ensure that companies comply with tax laws. They protect businesses from fraud, point out discrepancies in accounting methods, and on occasion work on a consultancy basis, helping organizations to spot ways to boost operational efficiency. And auditors work in various capacities within different industries.
So good morning and good morning to everyone. Good morning to our valuable lecturer and all my group mates. So my name is HUSNA, and today I am going to present appointment of auditors. So before a company appoints an auditor, they have a few steps and procedures in order to appoint one. So what are those? Okay, so every company is required to appoint an auditor at any time before the first annual general meeting. And under the provisions of the Companies Act, an approved company auditor shall not knowingly consent to be appointed and act as auditor of any company, nor shall be prepared for and on behalf of a company any report if that person is indebted to the company, its holding company, or subsidiaries in an amount exceeding 2,500. So these are the requirement in order for the company to appoint an auditor. So the first one is an officer of the company and a partner, employer, or employee of an officer of the company. Moving on, a partner or employee of an officer of the company. So if you're someone from outside the company, so if you're not related to any of this requirement, it is quite impossible for you to be appointed as an auditor. So what else? Moving on, is a shareholder or his spouse is a shareholder of a corporation whose employee is an officer of the company. So a shareholder of the company, or his wife his husband, her husband is the shareholder of the company, and his wife can be appointed as an auditor because it says here spouse. So moving on, if he is responsible for or is the partner, employer or employee of a person responsible for the keeping of the register of members of the register of holders of the interest of the company. So as you can see from the list, it is quite specific of what requires for a person to be audited, because if you can imagine someone being in such a specific job of the company, you need someone who knows what they are doing. So hence these are the requirements. So moving on, so all the partners of the firm residents in Malaysia are approved company auditors, and none of that partner is disqualified under the paragraph 1, 2, and 3 above. So in belah kiri I, these are the lists. So where the audit firm is not registered as a firm under any law of the time being enforced, and a return showing the full names and addresses of all partners of the firms has been lodged with the register of the company. So a person who will be appointed as an auditor must work and also be registered in the company. So an auditor must also present in a public interest because the public needs to know you. So for public interest entities, the provisions of the Securities Commission Act 1993 states an approved company auditor must register with the Audit Oversight Board before he can act as an auditor of a public interest entity. So it is quite clear, in order for you to appoint it as an auditor, you must be registered with the Audit Oversight Board. So why does it so? Because a public listed company, or one listed in the stock exchange, and a license, oh no, these are also the other requirements. So a licensed institution, license under the Banking and Financial Institution Act 1989, and moving on, an insurance company license under the Insurance Act 1996, and a takaful operator registered under the Takaful Act 1984. So these are the public interest entities. So these are the laws that are required in order for you to work such a heavy job. These are the requirements. So it's very specific, because auditing an auditor is a very, very big and huge responsibility. So moving on. So we also have reappointment and subsequent appointment of auditors. So for example, if an auditor is dead or he is not eligible, so the company will reappoint, or create another subsequent appointment of auditors. So casual vacancies from removal or resignation of auditors must be filled by company at general meeting, and auditor in Malaysia may resign at a general meeting. So if there are vacancies of auditors or resignation of auditors, it must be filled by company at general meeting. As I said earlier, they must held a general meeting that includes all people in order to appoint an auditor. So the resignation is only effective on the appointment of another auditor, and at the same time, the auditor needs to give a written explanation to the register of companies stating the reasons for resignation. So as you can see, it's not easy to be appointed, and it is not easy to resign, because there's a lot of procedures and steps, but it is understandable, because an auditor of the country is a big job. So for auditors of public listed entities, as I stated earlier in the Listed Takaful Act and everything, you will also need to submit the written explanation to Bursa Malaysia. So it is not easy actually to resign, because there's a lot of steps. As you can see, you must explain, you must written this, and removal of auditors in Malaysia needs to be performed at general meeting, where the special notice has been given. The special notice needs to be given to the registrar of the companies and to the auditors. So that's all from my point. So it's clear there are a few steps in order to appoint an auditor, and there are a few steps to resign as an auditor. So that's all from me. Thank you so much.
Greetings to Madam Bella. My name is SHANTHINI Joselene, and today I'll be explaining on the qualification and disqualification of auditors. So let us look into the slides. The first qualification of auditors are they should be approved by the Minister of Finance. Auditors shall be approved by the Minister of Finance as was stated under Section 263 Clause 1 of the Companies Act 2016, which states that any person may apply to the minister charged with the responsibility for finance to be approved as a company auditor for the purpose of this act. The second qualification of auditors is they should be registered as a public accountant under the MIA. MIA stands for the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. So, auditors shall be registered as a public accountant under the Malaysian Institution of Accounts. The MIA is responsible for surveillance and enforcement of audit firms registered with them. For example, other bodies that govern the audit profession in Malaysia are the Audit Oversight Board, AOB, as well as the Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, SSM. The third qualification of auditors is that they should be at least 21 years old, and other requirements are an auditor shall be 21 years old. However, in certain circumstances where the auditors are beyond the age of 21 years of age, the applicant shall have at least 5 years of working experience and 3 years in auditing work, and be a member at least 1 year minimum of the Malaysian Institute of Accounts under the Chartered Accountant category. And the last qualification of auditors is that they shall be a fit and proper person. Auditors shall be a fit and proper person in context of both physically as well as mental well-being. Generally, an auditor shall be fit and proper status, especially on financial integrity and reliability. For example, they shall not be declared bankrupt or shall not have any court issues relating to debt. Secondly, they shall have other good characters and reputation. An auditor shall be free from any misconduct or disciplinary issues. Moving on to the disqualification of auditors, the first disqualification of auditor is not an employer or employee of the company. Auditors are disqualified to hold the position of auditors if they are an employee or employer of the company itself. This has been highlighted under Section 261, Clause 1 of the Companies Act. A person shall not knowingly consent to be appointed as an auditor for a company if he is a partner, employer, or employee of an officer of the company. The second disqualification of auditors are owns more than 2,500 to the company. Auditors shall be disqualified to hold the position of an auditor if he is holding any security of or interest in the company or its subsidiary, or its holding or associate company, or a subsidiary of such holding company. Besides that, the auditor shall not be indebted to the company that he shall be serving, exceeding the amount of 2,500 ringgit. The third disqualification of an auditor is not a partner. Auditors are disqualified to hold the position of auditors if they are partner of the company itself. This as well had been highlighted in the Section 261 Clause 1 of the Companies Act. And the last disqualification of auditors is that they shall not be the spouse or shareholder of the company. The Companies Act 2016 introduced an added disqualification factor whereby the auditor's spouse, being an officer of the company, would similarly disqualify the auditor. This has been stated under Section 264(1) if his spouse is an officer of the company or if his spouse is the shareholder of the corporation, then the auditor shall be disqualified for the position. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello, madam. I'm Angela here. I would like to present on the functions of auditor. There are three main functions. Firstly, to protect the company from undetected errors, and secondly, to provide shareholders with reliable intelligence, and thirdly, to exercise their collective powers. Let me explain on this further. It is the auditor's functions to ensure that the financial information as to the company's affair prepared by the directors accurately reflect the company's position in order first to protect the companies itself from the consequence of undetected errors or possibly wrongdoings like misstatement and fraud, and second, to provide shareholders with reliable intelligence for the purpose of enabling them to scrutinize the conduct of the company's affair and to exercise their collective powers to reward or control or remove those to whom the conduct has been confided. That's all from me, madam. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, madam. My name is MEGAT and I'll be talking about the scope of duties. So, based on Section 174, Clause 3 of Companies Act, and it is the duty of an auditor of company to form an opinion as to each of the following matters, whether he has obtained all the information and explanation that he required, whether proper accounting and other records have been kept by the company as required by the Act, whether the returns received from branch officers of the company are adequate, and whether the Procedures and methods used by a holding company or a subsidiary in arriving at the amount taken into consolidated accounts were appropriate to the circumstances of the consolidation. So, an auditor involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence about the amount and disclosures in the financial statement. And the procedures selected depends on the auditor's judgment, including the assessment of the risk of material misstatement of the financial statement, whether due to fraud or error. And an audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of accounting policies and whether they made by management will be reviewed, and the overall presentation of the financial statements along with the adequate disclosure of the applicable financial reporting framework will be evaluated. And auditor will evaluate whether the information presented in the financial statement is relevant, reliable, comparable, and understandable, as well as provide adequate disclosures and appropriate terminology. And because of the taste, nature, and other inherent limitations of an auditor, together with the inherent limitations of any accounting and internal control system, there is an unavoidable risk that even some material misstatements may remain undiscovered. And then an auditor has a professional responsibility to report if the financial statement do not significantly comply with applicable financial reporting standards unless an auditor believes there is a good reason for the non-compliance. In deciding whether this is the case, is whether the non-compliance is necessary for the financial statement to give a true and fair view, and whether the non-compliance has been clearly disclosed. And but lastly, an auditor also have the professional responsibility to consider uh, other information in documents containing audited financial statement is consistent with the financial statement and our knowledge acquired during the course of the audit. And then moving on, the powers of auditors. First of all, the auditors has the power to assess, which is an auditor has the right to assess the company's accounting and other records of any reasonable time. He has the right to demand whatever information and explanation he wants from any executive of company and any audit of a linked firm for the purpose of the audit. And when conducting an audit of a company's account, an auditor is expected to follow a set of procedures to aid in the detection of errors or fraud. Following the audit, the auditor can determine if the company represents a true and fair picture of its financial situation. So based on Section 174, Clause 4 of CA 95, an auditor of company has a right to access at all reasonable time to the company and other records, including registers of the company, and is entitled to require from any officer of the company and any auditor of a related company such information and as much as he desires for the purposes of audit. And then we'll be moving on to the auditor's power to report. So if fraud is discovered or suspected, the auditor has the authority and is obligated to notify the directors or other management as soon as possible rather than waiting until the annual general meeting. And the purpose of appointing an auditor is to protect the members' interests. So based on Section 134, Clause 1 of CA, every auditor of a company shall report to the members of the account required to be laid before the company in the general meeting and on the company's accounting and other records relating to those accounts, and if it is a holding company for which consolidated accounts are prepared shall also be reported to the members on the consolidated accounts. And then furthermore, we have the right to attend meeting. So an auditor of a corporation or his authorized representative has the right to attend any general meeting of the company and to receive all notice and other correspondence pertaining to that meeting. And based on Section 174 Clause 8 of CA, an auditor of a company or his agent authorized by him in writing for the purpose is entitled to attend any general meeting of the company and to receive all notices of and other communications relating to any general meeting which a member is entitled to receive, and to be heard of any general meeting which he attends on any part of the business of the meeting which concerns the auditor in his capacity as auditor. And an auditor can resign at the general meeting of a company. Normally, the auditor gives notice in writing to the directors that he desires to resign, and the directors of the company must call for a general meeting for the purpose of appointing an auditor in place of the resigning auditor. And the resignation of the existing auditor is only effective on the appointment of other auditor, and notice of nomination of new auditor must be sent out to the auditor, and all persons are entitled to receive notice at the prescribed number of days before the annual general meeting. That's it for my part, madam.
To conclude all my group members' part for the auditors in a company management, basically an auditor is in charge of auditing the financial statements of a company at the end of the year. After carefully auditing in accordance with the generally accepted auditing standards, they are able to ensure the company's statements are free of material misstatement. With this conclusion, we will end our presentation here. Thank you for watching.